It's mid-July, we're on the Rockstacker farm, and Brian and I are planting a small food plot using what's called the Groundhog Max. The Groundhog Max is a perfect piece of implement that can go on the back of any side-by-side or single-up four-wheeler to get your food plots done way off the beaten path. It's got a set of gangs that goes into your reese hitch, and there's also kits that are available for other machines that may not have a 2-inch reese hitch. Now the way this works, it takes the weight of the machine and digs down into the ground in order for you to turn the soils. What I had planted here in the springtime was peas and oats to help erosion and to help build soil quality. Now what I'm going to be doing is planting a product called Biggins Radish from Rockstacker. Biggins Radish is a larger seed head, and it will be disced into the ground using the Groundhog Max so it gets instant germination and highest productivity. You can see with this thatchy stuff from the early part of the spring that was now dead. I sprayed it about a week ago and then bush hogged it last night. It's going to help keep the seed in place. It's also going to help retain moisture during the growing season. With Biggins Radish, it only takes a couple of days, 4 or 5 tops, to germinate. As long as it gets a bit of moisture, it'll take right off. Once the greens actually start to take root, it'll canopy out and take in as much nutrient and moisture value as well as get as much production before the fall. So you only need about 6 to 8 weeks of growing before the deer start hitting it in the fall. This Groundhog Max is doing a perfect job. If you've got a food plot that's off the beaten path and you need something to get in there, the Groundhog Max is perfect for it. You'll also notice that the tires, when he goes back over the same spot, it's actually packing it down. So when you pack it down, you're actually ensuring that your seeds get good seed to soil contact, which is important. So you're actually doing 2 things at once. You're working it up, and then the second pass around, you're packing the seed into the ground. A little bit of rain and away she goes. Check out rockstacker.ca in the food plot section for the Groundhog Max. I'm really impressed with this unit. When transporting the Groundhog Max, you can pull it out of your reese, flip it upside down, travel to your next food plot. When you get there, put down your 6x6 blocks underneath your tire. I've got it cut at about a 30-degree angle. You back your side-by-side up, flip it upside down, attach it. Once you're attached, lock your pins. When you pull off of this, it actually pushes the Groundhog Max down into the ground using the weight of the machine to work your food plot. Works out awesome. Time to get another plot done. Now it turns out that while I was getting a plot set up in the bush, the trail camera was set to video. Take a look at the time. Now this plot measures 80 yards wide by 20 yards deep. It's not a big plot, but it's perfect for a staging area. By going back and forth across the plot, working the location about 2 inches deep, I can expose the soils enough to get the seed down and start the growing process. In less than 15 minutes, I pretty well had it ready for seed. And honestly, that's all it takes. 15 minutes, you got yourself a plot. Give it a try today. Check out rockstacker.ca. Since Rockstacker's inception in 2007, we've been North America's leading big game mineral. With spring just around the corner, we're in full production with our customer favorites, Blaze, Glory, Stacked, and Heavyweight for white-tailed deer, elk, and moose. With near instant results, you could be using Rockstacker to increase your game population on your property.
And this is Rockstacker.
Visit rockstacker.ca for all product details and retail outlets across the continent. Before the commercial break, I was explaining to you a product called Biggins Radish. Biggins Radish is to be planted sometime around the end of July and early August in Ontario. Now we did plant this late July, and we were expecting a heavy rainfall. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. In fact, we didn't get rain for about 3 weeks afterwards. So what I chose to do, because I lost that 3 weeks worth of growing time, I put a thin coat of Field Edge, which is another brassica variety, on top of the Biggins Radish. That 3 days of heavy rainfall made things explode. Now let me show you the results of Rockstacker food plots. you'll see a slight color difference in the leaves. If it's red or purple, it's due to plant stress because of the lack of fertilizer. The plant will still grow and the deer will still eat it, it's just not going to maximize the growth. It's a good idea to follow the fertilizer instructions to maximize this growth. It was a little too late for me to get this done. That's what she's all about right there. Now imagine if that had 3 extra weeks of growth. A little bit warmer this week, it'll get bigger yet. Here's another one. There we go. They're not too bad considering they're 4 weeks old. Now these are the types of results you can expect with Rockstacker food plots. It doesn't take a lot to put them in the ground. All you need to do is make sure they get good seed to soil contact and lots of moisture. Now because we lost 3 weeks worth of growth because there was no moisture in the soil, I went to another food plot and picked up some leaves to show you the type of growth difference that 3 weeks makes. Now these leaves here came from a food plot that had lots of moisture in a lower part of my farm. I'm going to pick a couple here. That's the type of growth that we have behind us right now. So in 3 weeks time, with enough heat between 20 and 24 degrees, it'll go from this size to that size, dramatically increasing your production and your tonnage of forage in the food plot. Now the cool thing is with brassicas is the deer typically don't start hitting it until a frost. When I mean a frost, I'm talking -5, not -1 or a light frost. We need a hard, deep frost. It turns all those starches to sugars, and that's when the deer really start piling in here and start pawing it all up through the winter time. So as the snow and the winter sets in, you better hope you get yourself a tree stand close by. And remember that this is Rockstacker.